G'day guys, welcome back to the SA Sports Medicine Association's taping video series. Today's video is going to be on using a couple of techniques to support the knee. This video is brought to you again by Maxi Plus Sports Tape.
Okay.
Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to go through taping the knee joint. For example, today we're going to tape the inside of the knee. However, this taping technique can be used for the back for a hyperextension injury, or for the outside of the knee for a lateral knee injury. But just for the purpose of today, we're going to look at the medial knee using a relatively simple technique for today. Now, what you might need for your athletes when doing this technique is some Hyperfix sports tape, or Maxi Fix as we like to say, just to cover up and add some extra protection and extra stability for the tape. For the purpose of today, I'm not going to use that. However, you may need to use that for your athletes depending on whether their knees are covered with hair or whether they get skin irritations or something like that. But for today, I'm just going to go straight on to my athlete's skin. You will also need some EAB sports tape. You can use either 75mm or the 50mm depending on the size of your athlete. For today, I'm going to probably use a mixture of both. As you can see, I've got a pretty empty roll here, but try and use a consistent size when you're doing the taping technique. To start off with, like all of the other applications of tape that you've seen through this series, we're going to put an anchor of tape below and above the joint, so below and above the knee joint. Now I'm just going to tape straight over my athlete's tights here. Ideally, again, you'll have that directly on skin or on your Maxi Fix. So when lengthening the roll, just reduce the tension. There's no need for any tension on this at this stage. It's just an anchor point for the rest of our tape as we go through. So one lap around, above, okay. Peel a little bit extra off this time, and then one lap below. Okay, again, no need for a lot of tension, if any, as this is just going to act as a sticking point for the rest of our tape. Alright, now I've used the EAB as the anchor here for a couple of reasons. One, it's going to be more comfortable on the athlete in the long term. As this is a hinge joint, it's going to be a lot of repetitive movement in the one area, so I also want a little bit of give. Also, using the EAB at the calf allows for that calf muscle to expand when running, whereas if we restrict it with the rigid, it may impact their running style throughout the game and potentially cause an injury. Alright, so looking at the medial part of our knee here, what we're trying to restrict with our taping technique is the movement of the knee inwards, which may be caused by a medial ligament strain. So the ligament here just crosses over and holds that joint and keeps it straight. If it's strained or ruptured, the knee may have a tendency to fall in, and that's where we're going to try and prevent that with our taping technique. So as I said at the start, just put this down, got a step ahead of myself here. Bit of Maxi Fix over this part of the knee to give a little bit more comfort to your athletes if needed. Alright, first piece of tape we're going to put down is just going to mimic the structure of that medial ligament. Alright, so we're going to come down from top to bottom and go straight down and finish up at the front of the lower leg. Okay, then to counteract that, we're going to go the other way to create a cross. Now I've put very little tension on either of those. The tape's going to get quite tense as we go, and also remember it's a joint that's going to do a lot of movement through running and through sport, so you want it to be able to move normally but also restrict what we need to restrict. Okay. Now you can do that 2 or 3 times with your 38mm. If you're using 50mm rigid, you may only need to do it twice or even once. And then I'm just going to go one straight down in between with the 38mm, just to cut that cross in half essentially. Now if you're on a low budget, you've got a lot of athletes to tape and you've only got a little bit of tape to do it, you could stop there and then just go around with your anchors or locks to finish that. That'll give them a little bit of support. As I said, you could add a couple more pieces of rigid if that's the tape that you've got, just to give that extra support there. I'm going to add a little bit of EAB stretch tape to this today, just to give it a little bit more compression across the joint and a little bit more stability. So starting, same place as I started my first cross, I'm going to go down and around the joint. All right, cut that off, let it relax back, finish up there. Then this time I'm going to start from the bottom, okay, patting it down, up and around this time, pulling the tape off and letting it relax, back to the middle, okay. Now, so what that's done is create a little bit of a lock on all of our rigid tape at the bottom, a little bit of a lock on all of our rigid tape at the top, and also has given a nice compressive nature to this tape. If you're using the 75mm sports tape, you would see these parts of the tape covered. It'd give a wider spread, so keep that in mind if you're using the 75mm. Right now I'm pretty happy to finish that off here, so I would again lock it with my EAB, nice and loose, finish at or about where it intersects so that you save yourself some tape. Alright, over the top, and then as I said in previous videos, I always cover my locks of EAB with a little bit of rigid sports tape, just because it sticks a bit better. Okay, and then we do the same at the top. Get a decent amount off your roll, come through, finish it about where we started, cut that off, pat it down, and then lock off with our rigid. Alright, so this looks like a pretty complex technique. It's not really, it's just crossing over where we're looking to support, creating an X around that space, applying the tape and the pressure through that part of the joint to add some stability. Key things to look for: is it comfortable for the athlete? As I said, the knee's going to bend a lot throughout the course of a match or the course of a run or whatever they may be doing. So making sure it's comfortable is really important. As I said, you can chop and change with different types of tape. I've used as little bits and pieces here, depending what you have. Go with what you've got, just expand on the techniques that I've used with those types of tape to get you through. If you've only got, just a little tip, if you've only got rigid sports tape, you don't have the EAB and you can't use the EAB for the locks, when you go around for these anchors or locks, just don't go the whole way around the leg. It allows for it to expand and retract nice and normal, and it'll do the job really, really well. Leave an inch or inch and a half at the back of the leg so that the leg can still function properly. Hope you enjoyed this video and look forward to seeing you again soon.